and welcome to this episode of Little Sprout Speech TV. Grab your pen and paper because today we are talking about how to tackle those tricky behaviors that you want your child to stop doing. So what am I talking about? Things like biting, kicking, hitting, and teaching them that they have some choices sometimes, and there's sometimes things that they have to do, and that actually will be featured in our first series of social stories, which I'll explain in a minute. And readily available today. You'll be able to get them off of our website today. But the goal here is that we wanted to create something for you to help you work on these behaviors that you would like to get rid of with your little one. And there will be more series to come in the future. We're working on one that focuses on school and, sitting at circle, asking a friend to play, saying hi to a friend, staying in my bubble. And then we're also working on some for the community where you can tackle problems like going to the dentist and getting a haircut and going grocery shopping, things that are really tricky for your little one and things that they really have a hard time with. So I'm going to show you an example of one of the books that we have featured in our first set that's already available on the website. And this one's called My Mouth. And I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to share the 3 tips and important pieces that are in here. I'll point them out as I go along as well, and then we'll review them at the end. But My Mouth. So this was created for a child who was having trouble biting. Or not having trouble biting, he was biting, and we were having trouble getting him, to learn that biting hurts friends and it's not okay. This is not a behavior that, we really want to see continue. So we created this book for him called My Mouth, and it says, my mouth is for eating. So first we start with something we can do with our mouth, but not for biting. Here's that behavior we want to get rid of. And then what we do is tap into the emotion, okay? So I've already covered my 3 tips here without saying them, but basically the first one is to tackle one problem at a time. In this case, biting. Number 2, put it in pictures. You'll see how I've used pictures where it's my mouth, what we can do with it. It's not for biting. There's a big X over biting. And, why don't we want to bite? This is tip number 3. We want to tap into emotions. Biting hurts and makes my friends, teachers, mommy, and daddy sad. And then we want to go back to the positive and focus on, my mouth is for talking. And you'll see I featured again what we can do nice and big so we know what we can do with our mouth. My mouth is for talking. My mouth is for singing. My mouth is for smiling, but not for biting. You gotta remind them what we can't do with the mouth, very subtly, because it hurts my friends, my teachers, mommy and daddy, and makes them sad. And then we review what we can do with our mouth. If I use my mouth for eating, talking, singing, and smiling, my friends, my teachers, mommy, daddy, and I will be happy. So you see here how we've created a story around one single problem. So that is your tip number 1. Tackle one single problem, in this case, biting. Tip number 2 was put it in pictures. So you saw how I used pictures for everything I was trying to point out in there, because when you have a child with language delay or autism or just anything where they're struggling to understand what we're telling them, pictures are powerful. It shows them what we're saying. They don't even need the words because they have the pictures, and that, together the words and the pictures kind of click and make sense in their head. Which leads us into number 3, tap into emotions. This is hard, especially for our children. If your kiddo has autism or Asperger's or, a delay where they have a hard time understanding emotions, we're showing them with a tear down somebody's face, this makes me sad when you bite. But if you sing and you eat and you talk with your mouth, it makes me happy. They really start to get that sad versus happy thing. It's very basic, but it makes sense to them because we're showing them in pictures. So that's why tapping into emotions is so important. And then the last tip I can give you is to read it, practice it, and repeat this daily until you start to see the behavior that you don't want start to go away, until it finally goes away completely. And the behaviors that you do want to appear in its place. Once you see that happening, then you know that you can move on to another. You can start tackling another problem, but focus on one problem at a time. That was our first tip, okay? So I reviewed the tips, but I'll do it one more time. Tackle one problem at a time was number one. Number two, put it in pictures. And number three, tap into those emotions, and then review this daily. I hope this is helpful. If you're feeling very overwhelmed and like, oh my gosh, how do I create these? Have no fear, have no worries. We've made it easy for you. We've created them for you. They're available on our website. Go to littlesproutspeech.com and click on the products tab, and you will see the sections of stories available. We bunch them for you in bundles. And the first one, like I said, will cover things like your hands, so instead of hitting, what can we do with our hands? Instead of your feet, instead of kicking, what can we do with our feet? Instead of our biting with our mouth, what can we do with our mouth? And then we also have a nice little bonus one in there about choices and have-to-dos, which I absolutely love, and I think you'll really enjoy too. So the link is below. Go to that link, and we hope that you find these really useful. I look forward to talking to you all over on Facebook this week and speaking to you right here, same time, same place next week. This is Hallie Bulkin, signing off.